How we pick the best Canon lenses. I have been writing about, reviewing, and using cameras as a professional photographer for nearly 2 decades. I have shot Canon gear as my personal kit for the majority of that time, and have personally reviewed or at least shot with just about every lens on this list. To find the best Canon lenses, I have broken some categories up into high-end and budget options, because the price differences can be huge. While Canon doesn't really make any truly bad lenses, at least at the moment, this list prioritizes models that offer exceptional image quality and durability. You'll also notice that almost every lens on the list relies on the Canon RF mount, which is native to its R-series mirrorless cameras. While there are still plenty of excellent F-mount DSLR lenses out there, the RF glass represents the present and future of the company's offerings. I'll mention some older F options along the way, which can be great if you have DSLRs you still want to use, or you're just looking to save some cash. Number 1. RF50mm F1.2 L USM. Canon built this flagship 50mm prime lens to show off what its full-frame R-series cameras can do. It's not just one of the best Canon lenses, it's easily one of the best modern lenses I have ever used. 50mm lenses aren't particularly prone to distortion, but you'll find almost none in this lens. It focuses quickly, quietly, and accurately, while you will notice some vignetting when shooting wide open. It's not overpowering and can even work in your favor if you're shooting portraits or trying to isolate a subject. As you stop the lens down, the vignette disappears, and it's sharp and bright across the entire frame. Canon's new air sphere coating promises to fight flare and aberration. In my experience, it does a fantastic job, even in very high contrast areas. The lens keeps unwanted effects to a bare minimum. All that performance does come with costs, however. At $2,299, it's a very expensive lens. It's also considerably longer and heavier than the previous F version. But while it's not exactly compact or light, it doesn't feel overly heavy or humongous when attached to a full-frame body. Yes, this lens is an investment, but it's also a benchmark offered by the company to maximize its camera's capabilities. That's worth the cost if you can swing it. Number 2. RF85mm F1.2 L USM DS. Fast 85mm lenses have been a staple for portrait photographers for decades. The short telephoto focal length masterfully avoids perspective and optical distortion, while keeping the subject at a comfortable working distance that doesn't feel too intimate or removed from the process. Canon's flagship 85mm F1.2 lens costs more than most of the cameras in its lineup, but it delivers unmatched image quality in this space. Like the 50mm F1.2, it's absurdly sharp even when shooting wide open. One of the big challenges when shooting with it is to not go overboard shooting at f1.2. The depth of field is so shallow that it can look otherworldly or dreamy. The DS in its name stands for defocus smoothing. An additional coating makes out-of-focus highlights in the frame appear softer and more subtle, which makes them less likely to distract viewers from the image's subject. The body includes a function ring in addition to the focus ring, and the whole thing is weatherproof in line with Canon's L-series lens specs. Again, this is a big, heavy lens, but it provides an aesthetic and image quality that you won't get with anything else. Number 3. RF50mm F1.8 STM. For less than $200, this lens is a no-brainer for pretty much anyone with a Canon RF mount camera. It weighs 1/4 pound, is less than 3 inches long, and relies on Canon's STM focusing mechanism for quick, quiet operation. It also goes down to f22. That's smaller than some of the high-end models, which only go to f16. It's adequately sharp and demonstrates some relatively easy-to-fix vignetting when shooting wide open. Stop it down to f2.8 and beyond, however, and it gets extremely sharp and bright across the frame. This is a plastic lens, so don't expect heavy weather sealing for durability. But at this price, everyone should have one, if they don't already have a higher-end standard prime. Number 4. RF70 to 200mm F2.8 L is USM. You can shoot just about any kind of portrait you can think of with a 70 to 200mm lens. Canon's latest version of this popular zoom lens takes full advantage of the RF mount. It is both smaller and lighter than the latest high-end version built for DSLRs. It focuses down to 2.3 feet, so even though it's a telephoto lens, you won't be standing too far away from your subject. This is an L-series lens, so it gets Canon's most advanced tech, including its high-end coatings to fight flare and aberration. If you've shot with old versions of the 70 to 200mm, you're probably used to the lens barrel staying the same length throughout the focal range. However, this version extends as it zooms, allowing it to take up much less bag real estate when you're in transit. Number 5. RF50mm F2.8 L is USM. If you need one lens to do it all, then the 24-70mm F2.8 is fits the bill. The range goes from wide angle to short telephoto, so it's capable of everything from sweeping landscapes to straight-up headshots. The focusing mechanism relies on Canon's latest Nano USM motors, so it moves very quickly and silently, and the 9-blade circular aperture creates pleasing bokeh across the frame at every focal length. Lens makers didn't typically include image stabilization in standard zooms like this one until recent generations. Here, you get up to 5 stops of handheld shake reduction, thanks to the built-in system. This is a lens built for work. You can stick it on the camera and leave it there for pretty much any situation, which justifies its high price. Number 6. RF100mm F2.8 L macro is USM. If you want true macro performance, then this is the Canon model to check out. It embraces the classic 100mm macro focal length and provides a 1.41 magnification ratio, meaning images will render larger on the image sensor than they are in real life. That's extremely close focusing. Keeping the camera steady can be tricky when shooting close, so Canon equipped this lens with a built-in image stabilization system. Combined with some bodies like the Canon R5, it can provide a total of up to 8 stops of shake reduction when shooting handheld. In addition to its normal controls, the lens also sports a spherical aberration control ring, which allows photographers to control the appearance of the bokeh in every image. It can render out-of-focus highlights as clearly defined spheres or mushy blobs of light, depending on which fits your frame better.